The curtain rises on modern tragedy, set against backdrop of Bristol, England, where the turbulent lives of Abigail White, a 24-year-old OnlyFans model known as Fake Barbie, and Bradley Lewis, 22, the father of their 3 young children, were irrevocably intertwined. Theirs was a relationship less of romance and more of a ticking time bomb, characterized by control, volatility, and a chilling undercurrent of violence that ultimately exploded into murder. Abigail White, despite earning a substantial income from her online content, struggled with anger management, dabbling in cocaine and alcohol, which only fueled the instability in her relationship with Bradley. The signs were stark, impossible to ignore. White had documented history of violence towards Lewis, including previous stabbings to his arm and leg, leaving scars that spoke volumes of her rage. Disturbingly, she freely admitted her violent tendencies, even in voice notes sent to friends just hours before the fatal act. She confided, "She's fully capable of killing." She declared, fearing she would end up in prison. In a chilling admission, she confided that Bradley only tells her the truth when she's stabbing him. Bradley Lewis himself lived in fear. Days before his death, he desperately called a friend, pleading, "She's trying to kill me. She's trying to stab me. She keeps beating me up. She's hurting me." He was trapped, unable to leave because of their children. Despite social services having already intervened, recommended they not live together, a rule often disregarded. Text messages from White to Lewis painted a terrifying picture filled with threats. "I swear to God, I'll stab you." And, "I'm going to stab you in the neck." She even threatened his mother and other women he had relations with. Psychiatric evaluations later revealed White suffered from borderline personality disorder, a condition rooted in a traumatic childhood marked by abuse. This disorder, experts explained, severely affected her emotional stability, causing her brain to shut down when enraged, making her incredibly poor at controlling her anger. The day of the murder began with a pivotal decision. Bradley told Abigail he wanted to end their tumultuous relationship. This pronouncement, delivered in a public park, enraged White. Later that evening, the couple, along with friends, went to the Horseshoe pub in Siston Common. White was in a difficult mood, engaging in arguments and physical fights. Witnesses observed her drinking heavily and snorting illegal substances. Her behavior growing increasingly volatile, she lashed out at Bradley for not defending her in a pub altercation, throwing his drink in his face and spitting at a friend. Bradley was seen crying in the men's room, admitting to a friend his fear of Abigail, but his inability to leave her due to concerns she would harm herself. Around 7:50 p.m., the couple departed the pub, with a mutual friend giving them a lift home. It was during this short drive that Bradley uttered an ominous prophecy, a chilling premonition that would soon become a grim reality. "I'm dead when I get home," he told his friend. The friend, unsettled, gave Bradley his phone number, a small gesture against the looming dread. Just 20 minutes after arriving home, at 8:10 p.m., a neighbor heard Abigail's distressed scream. Rushing over, the neighbor discovered a horrifying scene. Bradley Lewis lay on the kitchen floor, bleeding, with a blood-stained knife nearby. Abigail, in a panic state, had called 999, but then immediately began to construct a cruel lie, claiming that Bradley had stabbed himself. She even attempted to clean up the blood. The knife had pierced Bradley's chest, penetrating his heart to a depth of 7 centimeters. Their 3-year-old son was present during the horrifying event, later telling investigators, "Mommy stabbed Daddy." Despite being rushed to the hospital, Bradley Lewis succumbed to his injuries hours later. His life tragically cut short. Initially, White denied murder, pleading guilty to manslaughter by reason of diminished responsibility, claiming she only intended to shock and scare Bradley, not to kill him. However, the prosecution built a compelling case, presenting a mountain of evidence, including the hundreds of threatening text messages, the prior stabbings, and her own chilling voice notes. After a 2-week trial at Bristol Crown Court, a jury of 6 women and 4 men returned a unanimous verdict. Abigail White was guilty of murder. On October 21, 2022, Mr. Justice Frazier delivered the sentence, life imprisonment with a minimum term of 18 years. The judge vehemently rejected White's claims of merely intending to shock Bradley, stating, "In my judgment on all the evidence that I've seen, at the time you stabbed him, you clearly intended to kill him. You had threatened to do this many times. Your evidence that you did not and only wanted to shock him was not credible." He further highlighted her controlling and violent nature, her history of stabbing Lewis, the presence of their 2-year-old son during the murder, and her attempts to blame Bradley as aggravating factors. Bradley Lewis's family faced an unimaginable void. His father spoke of their life sentence of grief, while his mother described how part of her world ended when she received the devastating news. Bradley's popularity was evident in the hundreds who attended his funeral and the memorial events that raised over £7,000 for his funeral and a mental health charity. His loss remains a poignant reminder of a life tragically cut short by a relationship consumed by rage and control. If you or someone you know is in an abusive relationship, don't wait. Help is out there, and justice, though slow, is possible. For more crime and mystery true stories, like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.